Hi, I'm Annie Leonard with The Story of Stuff. Welcome to another episode of The Good Stuff, where we talk with people who are working on solutions to the take-make-waste system that's trashing the planet, threatening our communities, and harming our health. Think back to when you were in 5th grade. You've just gotten so excited about something, an idea, a cause, an injustice that arouses your youthful passion. You want to tell everybody. Surely, if people just knew about this, things would change. You and your best friend get a chance to get on stage in front of your whole school. You're nervous. You start the presentation. You say your opening line, and the audience laughs you off the stage. Ouch! What would you do? Would you give up? Would you decide you need more experience before taking on the issue? Not today's guests. They clung to their passion. They kept learning and growing and working. They redoubled their efforts. And before they were out of high school, they were able to bring the issue to millions of people, to the agenda of an international environmental organization, to one of the biggest, most respected organizations in the U.S., and to top-ranking government officials. Along the way, they received lots of honors and awards. But most importantly, things started to change. It's an exciting and inspiring story that can teach us all a lot about not giving up, about how to build allies and power to advance the things we believe in. So let's go. Rihanna Tomachin and Madison Vorva are best friends who live in Michigan. Growing up, their hero was Dr. Jane Goodall, the internationally acclaimed scientist who first came to attention for her work with chimpanzees. Their interest in the welfare of great apes inspired them to earn their Girl Scout Bronze Award by raising awareness about the plight of the endangered orangutan. They discovered that the orangutan's habitat, the rainforests of Indonesia and Malaysia, were being clear-cut at an alarming rate for plantations dedicated to just one crop, palm oil trees. Now, you probably think of palm trees on sunny beaches, but they're also the source of palm oil, a product used in everything from candy bars to baked goods to cosmetics. And then they learned something disturbing that really hit home. Palm oil is used in Girl Scout cookies. The same Girl Scout cookies that support the organization whose Bronze Award Maddie and Rhiannon were working towards. So, Rhiannon, was this really an issue about animal rights and protecting orangutans, or is it broader than that?
It absolutely began with the orangutan and with our desire to speak for this incredible creature who has no opportunity to speak for themselves. We saw this destruction that was occurring and wanted to do something to stop it. But as we became more involved with this issue and as we learned more, we realized that even though we began with the orangutan, this issue is so much more important than that. It's not just about this one species, but it's about the environment. It's about the native peoples of Indonesia and Malaysia. It is about all of the species that call this rainforest their home.
And it's about the climate too, right?
Absolutely. There's a huge link between palm oil and climate change because of deforestation. Deforestation is a huge driver of greenhouse gas emissions. Indonesia is actually the third largest emitter of CO2. Even though they aren't an industrialized country, it's directly related to the clearing of this rainforest land for palm oil plantations.
We'll go back to Maddie now. So you're both in Ann Arbor. You really care about the orangutans. You found out they've been threatened by palm oil. You found out that palm oil is in 50% of the products in the supermarket, including a lot of things that you and your family like. What'd you do?
Well, I remember I came home after discovering this and told my mom we can't eat anything with palm oil, and she would have such a hard time just trying to find different alternatives, especially because sometimes you can't even tell if palm oil is in a product because they'll use a derivative of palm oil like sodium lauryl sulfate. And so it really made us as a family think about what we were buying and ask questions like, where are these products coming from? And so Rhiannon and I started out really basic in our community. We presented to our 7th grade class about this issue. We started speaking with other Girl Scout troops. We had lots of different fundraisers and awareness events within our entire school just to show our peers that what they are eating in their lunch boxes are having these impacts all over the world. And so we wanted to take it outside of our school community, and so we designed a petition to the Girl Scouts after discovering that palm oil is an ingredient in Girl Scout cookies. Initially, we asked the Girl Scouts to completely remove palm oil, and that petition was signed by Dr. Jane Goodall. But as our understanding of this issue evolved, we decided we would be the most effective as advocates to promote the need for destruction-free palm oil and traceable sources of palm oil instead of boycotting the entire industry.
When you started telling your friends and family about palm oil and asking them to give up some of their favorite products, what was their response?
Well, I have two brothers, and they're used to their snack food, and it was hard for them to give things up because we were taking out a lot of the junk foods in our diet that actually tends to have palm oil. So as a family, we became a lot healthier, but I think they did it because they saw how passionate I was. I refused to eat anything with palm oil. I was very careful with what I bought. I remember one year my aunt accidentally bought an ice cream cake with palm oil, and I just burst into tears because this issue meant something to me, and it's always meant something to me. And so I think at first they were kind of taken aback that a little girl could believe in something so much, but I think it made them ask an important question of what am I buying and who doesn't impact other than myself, and am I willing to give it up?
So, Rhiannon, Maddie said that you guys started talking to your 7th grade class, to your school, to your community, standing up and starting to talk about an issue, especially an issue on the other side of the planet involving gigantic corporations. That can be intimidating. Was it nerve-wracking? What was it like when you first started standing up and giving speeches about this?
The very first presentations we ever gave were probably some of the most terrifying moments of my life. I remember at one point early when we started this project, Maddie and I went up on stage in front of our entire school to announce National Orangutan Week. And we were super excited. We had done a lot of planning. We had put together fundraising events and awareness events. And as soon as we said it was National Orangutan Week, everyone started laughing. And we literally got laughed off of the stage and never finished our announcement. And so there were definitely some really, really tough moments. It's not easy to go up in front of people and talk about something that you yourself are so passionate about. But I think the fact that we had each other was a huge source of strength for us, and the fact that we were able to find people who were interested in this issue. We connected with some of our peers. We connected with Girl Scouts, and knowing that these people cared about what we had to say gave us the courage to stand up there and raise awareness about this issue.
So, Maddie, I saw some interviews of you on the internet in which you sort of pushed back on the statement that youth are the leaders of tomorrow. What's your concern with that statement?
Well, I think that statement is true, but youth have to be the leaders of today. And I believe this since I was a little kid, because when Rhiannon and I came across the palm oil issue, I didn't see anybody else out there. And I know there are wonderful organizations, but I didn't see anyone like myself. And so I said, if no one is going to say something, then I need to. Because if I wait until I'm grown up, it's going to be too late. And so I just want other kids to know that if you wait, it's going to be too late. This is your future, and it's being changed for us, and we're not making these decisions. And like Rhiannon was saying, we have a really unique space as a young person to say, you know what, I believe in this, and this matters because you have an audience. You already have your peers, and this is something that kids don't take advantage of. And so I think adults are surprised to see kids taking a stand and are more willing to begin the dialogue.
So, Rhiannon, I want to go back to something you said. You said to start small and then build bigger. And you gave a great example that you started small with a petition and with getting your friends and family to stop buying products with palm oil. Then can you give us an example or a story about something that you did that was then bigger?
Absolutely. So Maddie and I had been working on this issue for 3 years probably within our local community on a pretty small level, and realized that we were never going to get anywhere if we didn't turn up the volume on our message. And one of the easiest ways we found to do that was to partner with existing organizations who are already working on this issue. And we found a really great ally in the Rainforest Action Network. And so with them, we were able to develop some really big national online campaigns. We did a petition through change.org that ended up generating 70,000 signatures. And as a result of this campaign and a result of the national media attention that we started to gather, we were able to sit down with the Girl Scout executives to finally talk about this issue after 5 years of campaigning. And then 6 months later, after a follow-up meeting, they announced their new palm oil policy, which is a really good step in the right direction. We don't see it as a solution to the issue yet, but at least they took that first step towards having cookies that are rainforest safe.
You're not calling for a boycott of Girl Scout cookies, but are you calling for a boycott of other palm oil containing products?
We haven't called for a boycott just because it's hard to determine exactly where the palm oil is coming from. Right now, there's really no traceability within the supply chain, and so it's hard to claim exactly which products are causing deforestation. Instead, with our Girl Scout campaign, we had designed a Rainforest Hero Badge. So we've been able to take this badge to troops across the country and use it as an awareness piece to say, this is an issue I'm passionate about. This is in our cookies. Let's learn about this together and hopefully inspire other girls to act on this and also act on their own passions.
To learn more about palm oil in Indonesia and Malaysia, where most of it is grown, I talked to Gemma Tillich of the Rainforest Action Network, the organization that Maddie and Rhiannon teamed up with.
So Indonesia's forests and the forests of Borneo and Malaysia are really unlike any other places on the planet. They are some of the world's last areas of tropical rainforests, and they're filled with life. So they are home to the Sumatran and Borneo orangutan, to elephants, Sumatran tigers, rhinos, and countless other species of monkeys, birds, insects, plants. And these forests are also the homes to millions of indigenous people and rural communities. But the landscape in Indonesia and Borneo, Malaysia is changing, and each and every day we're losing more and more of these forests for the production of palm oil. So in some cases, areas of critical habitat for orangutans and into other endangered animals are cleared, and orangutans can even be killed, injured or orphaned in the process. If you're walking through a rainforest, you're hearing the sounds of the birds, the orangutans, the gibbons swinging through the trees. But when you're walking through a palm oil plantation, you hear nothing. It's devoid of life. It's row upon row upon row of palm trees that have been engineered to grow fast, to produce more fruit, and those trees will just be cut down after they've served their purpose and replaced with another young palm oil tree. There's also some shocking stories around the workforce in palm oil plantations. So young children are still employed to work on palm oil plantations instead of being able to attend school. They're involved in strenuous activities like harvesting and carrying fruits and applying toxic pesticides. And a lot of other people that kind of get convinced to work in plantations don't actually receive a proper working wage. They work every day, every week, every month, just waiting for the day that the palm oil company will pay them. But that day just keeps getting pushed out and out and out. And at the end of their time working for the company just says, well, sorry, we've spent all your wages on providing you with food and shelter.
Is it possible to grow palm oil in a sustainable and just way, or does the industry need to be shut down?
So a majority of palm oil is grown by these big corporations, but up to 40% of it is actually grown through smallholders. And this is where local communities are growing small palm oil plantations sustainably. So it is possible, I think, to produce palm oil responsibly, but that's just not how it's being done at the moment. So there is a way to transform its production, but obviously it does rely on citizen power, and it relies on these companies that buy and sell palm oil to demand that palm oil is produced without these negative impacts.
Back in Michigan, Maddie and Rhiannon are about to graduate from high school and go off to separate colleges. They're determined to continue their crusade. And they've come to realize that staying away from products with palm oil, even taking care to only buy products that say their palm oil isn't destroying rainforests, isn't the real solution.
Oh my gosh. So when I was 11 years old, I saw the solution as very black and white. It was, I'm going to take down the palm oil industry one product at a time. And I've grown up from then, and I've realized that this industry is never going to disappear, and that China and India use way more palm oil than the United States do. And so this is a global massive industry, and it's never going to disappear, and it doesn't necessarily have to. What needs to happen is for consumers to show that they only want palm oil that's not coming from forest destruction. I want palm oil that's traceable. I want palm oil that's being grown legally. I want palm oil that isn't contributing to slave labor and child labor. I want ethical palm oil, and I want truly sustainable palm oil. I don't want a logo on a box of cookies, for example, that means that looks like greenwash. I want to know where this palm oil is coming from. That's what the solution looks like to me.
Maddie and Rhiannon's story is incredibly inspiring. Two ordinary girls, make that two extraordinary girls, who wouldn't take no for an answer, even if it meant standing up to the organization that they loved and that had shaped them in so many ways. Especially because they were Girl Scouts, they felt they had a deeper responsibility to change the organization. They're smart enough to know that change doesn't happen overnight, and that sometimes you get results by working from within the system rather than washing your hands of it. They started out thinking like consumers, but now they're thinking like citizens. The rainforest people Gemma works with are doing the same thing, standing up to multinational corporations and standing firm in their resistance to injustice and environmental destruction. Maddie and Rhiannon's organization is called Project Orangs. That stands for Orangutans Really Appreciate and Need Girl Scouts. And we agree with the Brower Youth Awards that is the cutest activist group name ever. You can find them on the web and Facebook. On our webpage, storyofstuff.org, you'll find the links, as well as links to the palm oil campaigns of Rainforest Action Network and other groups. So read up, sign the petitions, tell others, get involved. Together, we can ensure a responsible palm oil industry. That's it for this episode of The Good Stuff. Our show comes to you from the studios of Youth Radio in Oakland, California. Our engineer is James Rowlands. Post-production by Brandon McFarlane. The Good Stuff is produced by Bill Walker. We'll have another show online in a few weeks. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Find us on Facebook and storyofstuff.org, and keep working on the good stuff in your own community. Thanks for being part of the solution.